And we're back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about out in their gardens? And then we can share that because we all commiserate in the same neighborhood. We're all just neighbors, kind of gardening, and we're starting to draw to a close, aren't we? So it's not quite.
Well, not quite. Here we get it's year round here.
I'm just thinking the tomatoes. I'm tired of picking
You're tired
tomatoes.
of picking.
My pumpkins I'm tired of fighting mildew. They're growing like crazy. They're taking over the whole yard. The whole thing's overgrown. I'm starting to get beat.
Yeah, the tomatoes. So we put in 4 tomato plants, and literally, I think they've taken over the entire backyard.
Yeah.
We have more tomatoes than
ever. It's a good tomato.
Anybody should be able to deal with.
What do you do with a tomato that's the size of your head? I mean, just they're huge. They're not quite that big, but they're bigger. They're as big as a softball.
Yeah. That one is huge.
Yeah.
Beautiful tomatoes. But wow.
I did lose one. I think he got some sort of disease. So we don't have 4 anymore. Now it's just 3, but that's still more than enough. Oh my gosh.
I'm done.
If you've got tomatoes yourself, I mean, kind of keep it going because you've got till the end of the year, middle of November, probably another month before you really go. If you know frost is coming and you can throw a sheet over them, you can keep it going well into closer to winter almost. Right. So right through all of autumn, you can get those things. Eventually, it's going to get so cold they just vaporize no matter what you do, unless you cheat and bring them into a greenhouse or something. But
well, that's not cheating.
Well, I don't have a greenhouse. I'm jealous.
We don't have time for a greenhouse.
What kind of questions are folks talking about?
Sure. So Tom is in Prescott Valley. He was looking, wants to put a fall color tree in.
Yeah.
Wants to know what's the difference between a sensation maple and an autumn blaze maple. Is there one that would do better out in Prescott Valley?
So both of those are good choices. So you've got several, Armstrong, Sensation, Blaze. There's several Ace Rebrum or red maples. They're all good for Prescott Valley. They'll take that wind. Not all maples will do that. Some of those Midwestern varieties, they get torn up by that wind that you all have out there in that valley as it funnels through. They get leaf torn or leaf tattered is what we call it. But the Sensation and the Autumn Blaze, those do not. They go right through. They're champions. So you'll see some beauties out there, some beautiful specimens. Autumn Blaze is going to be more red. Sensation is going to be more orange. You want orange or red? I'd go by that. They're both so similar. Big trees. I'd say Blaze is maybe a little bit larger. If you need a true shade tree. Nah, they're both shade trees. Just you're into idiosyncrasies of this whole thing. It's minor stuff. They're both great trees. I would encourage you come to Waters Garden Center and get one of each because we've got them both. So there you go.
Would you say the Sensation would be more, maybe a little more drought hardy, a little better water usage, or do you think they're the same?
Yeah. So box elder, it's a variation of that. So it's only going to get maybe 30 feet instead of an Autumn Blaze, more like a maple. It's actually an Acer botanical. It's actually a maple. It'll get up to 35, 40 feet. So it's a little bit bigger, but still you're above. I mean, you're way above roof line for both of them. They both have really deep root structures. So that's good. The box elders generally you'll find does well in clay soils, or you'll see them now towards natively running through, let's say, the washes and stuff. So they'll take that clay soil. But we had some beautiful Autumn Blaze in our first house in Prescott Valley. They weren't they were easy to grow. Now they're ginormous.
Yes. Okay. So pick the one you like.
Pick the one you like. They'll call to you. Come in. I'd say peruse the line, and they'll kind of call to you. Your plants actually connect with people. It's amazing to watch.
Okay. Next question is from Shannon in Prescott. She has tea roses that have yellowing leaves with black spots on them.
Yeah.
Wants to know, should she just trim them back or do they need to be treated?
Oh, no, you got to treat those. That's a serious deal. So that can kill your plant. So it's called black spot. Roses, we generally don't see a lot of this, but during wet years, which this has been a wet year, you're seeing black spot. Now, usually you see mildews and curls and shot holes and stuff. Right. This year we got a little bit of black spot. It should be easy to correct. Eventually we're going to run out of this monsoon. It's going to dry out, But in the interim, there's 2 things you really have to do. Well, 3, maybe 4. So spray it right away with copper fungicide. There's a anti-spotting spray. It's very inexpensive. I would coat that entire thing till it's dripping wet. I would do that maybe again in another couple of weeks. And I would ride it out through winter that way. Eventually, it's going to, by the end of the year, it's going to defoliate. They are deciduous. They're going to lose their leaves. It's going to be important that you clean up all of those spotted leaves because they are tainted. They're diseased. So it'll come right back next spring and jump. A bird will be down there pecking around for worms. He'll jump back on the rose, and instantly it's on your next year's rose bush. So cleanliness is next to godliness as far as roses go. It'll be important. Prune it back hard in March. Don't do it too early. You don't prune roses back early here. We wait through until March. So you'll be tempted to prune it back earlier, but just wait. Prune it back real hard. And then the second thing you do, spray it, water it normally. The second thing is going to be fertilize. Fertilize your roses, and that will set the stage. After you get done cutting that thing back in March, it will come back with a vengeance. It'll be clean. It'll be new. It'll be beautiful, and probably have some of the best blooms you've had in several years.
So you're saying fall fertilize or
Fall
just spring
fertilize? Yeah, right now.
Okay.
Fertilize right now. Fertilize and spray with copper fungicide. Fertilize with the all-purpose food right now. In the spring for that, spray it again just in case you missed something. You're going to have a little left over. Spray it again. It can only help, can't hurt. And then fertilize it again. And in the spring, I use our roses. There's some aphids and thrip issues. We use a rose food with systemic, so that first set of buds are loaded up with a bug repellent inside the bud. So you'll have prettier blossoms next spring. So I would do that. But right now, you're better off using the all-purpose plant food. There's an organic, it's more acidic. It'll help out with the plant. So come in and see us. We can go all the details. It's hard in 2 minutes over the airwaves to share all this. So Shannon, come see us.
All right. Okay. Next question is from Dave in Prescott. He has a lot of native Manzanita on his property.
Right.
His question is, parts of the Manzanita are dying back or showing death, different limbs through it. Wants to know why it would do that. And then should he cut those out, or how do you handle that?
So yeah, Manzanita are notorious for having stems break out. Just kind of, they'll die back. I don't know why. I think mainly because they're short-lived. They don't live forever. They're not like a bristlecone pine or ginkgo trees that live for 2,000 years. These are very short-lived, and they tend to choke each other out. They're growing clusters, and they tend to kind of compete for all the resources, and then they'll just kind of go, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. I'll let you go, Fred. You take over and take it from here. I'm going to die out. So anytime you see dead wood, cut it out. On any tree, but especially Manzanita, just cut it back. If it looks deformed when you get all done, take the whole plant out. I mean, just because then the other, sometimes the middle dies out. It looks kind of funky. Just take the whole thing out, and the other one next to it will just take over with a vengeance. Again, they're competing for limited resources. They've got very aggressive roots, and that's why they're showing that stress. They don't live long. If they get any age on them and any stress, they just go, I'm checking out. That's it. So Manzanita, pretty common with that. And it's too easy. We've got Manzanitas here. You can put another one in for $30-$40 and start over, and you're good for another 20 years. But cleanup is probably good for those. Okay. Great questions this week. So we are out of time. Thank you, Lisa. So Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners, will be right back after this.